Hello, everyone, and welcome to the SavvyCast. I'm so grateful that you're here today, whether you are viewing on YouTube or listening to the podcast. I'm very excited today to have as my guest Meredith Mann, otherwise known on Instagram as the Peachie Spoon. Meredith, thank you for joining today.
Yes, I love this. It's so fun. I'm so glad to finally get to chat with you. I feel like, I love your Instagram and we have the same church and we have a lot of stuff in common, the same city, but we never really got to chat.
I know it's like that 6 degrees of separation. I feel like I know you because everyone I know either knows you or follows you. So your Instagram is wonderful and you are just so smart, so savvy, and so adorable. And I'm just excited about having you on today. So, and Meredith, you are local in Birmingham, correct?
Yes, we're in Vestavia.
And how long have you lived in Birmingham your whole life?
I have. I grew up in Cobble Heights. Yes, and my husband's from here too. So I'm Birmingham born and still here.
Awesome. Well, that is great. Well, listen, I start every podcast with the same question, little icebreaker. What would you choose as your last meal?
That's hard because I really like food. I'm really thankful for taste buds. But let me think. I love a good steak. I think steak, macaroni and cheese, watermelon, and then there would be chocolate for dessert, of course. Some kind of warm cake with ice cream on top or something like that.
Yum. Okay. Well, I'm glad that we're getting to talk about food today. There's so many things I want to ask. Food and health and so forth. Well, Meredith, before we dive in, just tell everyone about you and what you do.
Okay, great. Okay. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist and health coach. And it's kind of like my second job after my kids have gone to school and they're getting older. And I just had this urge, like, I'm supposed to be doing something, like I had this passion in my heart and I didn't know what I should do. And I have just struggled. When I was 19, 20, I was a personal trainer and I actually had anorexia and like exercise bulimia and that kind of stuff back then. It started with the first diet I ever went on. I just thought I didn't look good enough to be a trainer. And so, just that lie that starts a diet that turns into an eating disorder. And like,
wow.
95% of eating disorders start with the diet. So it's not usually on purpose. It was just, I thought, I should eat healthier because I should, but I got better with that. I met my husband and I just had a better relationship with food. But then once I had kids, I started not feeling that great. And I was like, okay, well, I need to like eat to nourish my body and just to be healthier and feel good. So that was right when Whole30 was new. And so I did that and it just kind of turned into this thing where it was like good foods, bad foods. I was kind of always having that guilt if I ate something not as healthy. It wasn't a very healthy relationship with food. And it turned into more being like, I feel like the Lord has more for us than that. Then it turned into, I realized once I did Freedom, actually, this small group, it just made me, it opened my eyes to like, oh my goodness, this is such bondage to always be like, I have to run longer tomorrow because I ate this, or just all these thoughts consuming or comparing myself to my old me, or my pants are tight now. What do I not eat tomorrow? Or just all that junk. Anyway, but I figured out how to nourish my body properly and balance my blood sugar and all this stuff and shut off hunger. And so I wasn't having that overeat situation, restrict again the next day and all of this. And I just feel like once I really figured out how to fuel my body and nourish my body and just daily give all of those things to the Lord, I just have this peace and freedom. And I'm like, I think a lot of people struggle with this. I want to help them, like it doesn't have to be that hard. We don't have to be so hard on ourselves. There isn't a good food and a bad food, like all food fits and all of that. But anyway, there are more nutrient dense foods that make you feel better, but just having that healthy relationship and honoring your body at the same time. So that's kind of what blossomed my business. And then I just started the Instagram, it turned into a business. And now I have, coach one-on-one clients and help them just be the healthiest them they can be.
Yes. And you coach both in person and virtually?
I do. So right now I'm only doing one-to-one. So I'm not doing big group or anything like that. So it really is just one-to-one, but yeah, it's, Zoom or FaceTime or a call if you're out of town, and then locals, I go to their house or we meet for coffee usually.
Yeah. Okay. Now I want to circle back to the eating disorder because I have had lots of friends. I mean, from my Auburn days, my sweet mate had an eating disorder. Had one off and on growing up. A lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
Do you work with people who have eating disorders?
I do. I don't feel like I specialize in that, but I can help just with, slowly nourishing their body better and that kind of thing. And I'm not a counselor or anything like that, but I
Right.
have, especially teenagers. I've done a few adults that have already been to like a rehab kind of thing. And I was after, but they really wanted to balance their blood sugar. Cause when you really are anorexic and not eating at all or much at all, they just teach you to eat. You just need to eat more. Don't think about what the food is. Just eat,
Right.
eat, and heal from that. And then I can kind of come in and help like, well, this will actually make you feel good and shut off your hunger. So you're not having that trigger to want to eat or not to eat and that kind of thing. So, but yes, but I do help. I work with a lot of teens in the area, that are just starting to maybe struggle with that kind of thing, just with social media and TikTok and all that. I feel like it's more rampant now. It's just really sad. Like what I eat in a day and here's my abs and, just
Right.
it's too much info with the macros and the calories and everything in our world. It just is.
Right.
And so anyway, so yes, I do help people, with that recovery process and just, the healing and a lot of it's so mental too, with just taking those thoughts captive and the lies
Right.
in our head,
Just having a healthy relationship with food and not being in
Mhm.
bondage, as you would say.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you began this journey. First of all, where did you get the name Peachie Spoon?
Okay, it's really funny because I was like, I'm gonna go for it. I'm just gonna make make an Instagram and just see what happens. See if I get clients and like what happens. I wasn't even all the way certified or done with my schooling yet. I just started the Instagram. I was like, I'll just post some smoothies and we'll see. So it was literally like in 5 minutes. I was just like, what sounds Southern and happy and isn't taken yet? That was it. There was nothing. And of course, my husband was like, we're not even in Georgia. Like, why are you doing a peach? But I just thought it sounded
cute
cute.
name.
Yeah,
I love
thought
it.
it was happy.
And I love the peach emoji at the end of I guess you sign on everything. It's just adorable.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Meredith, let's just start by let's say someone comes to you and for whatever reason, but they just want to learn how to have a healthy relationship with food. I think all of us could have a better one than we do. I mean, we all, I think, have times where we know we're not eating for the right reasons, or we're
Right.
binging, or we're eating
Right.
unhealthily. So where do you start with your client?
There's a lot of it, of course, we talk about if they are an emotional eater, food is more than just fuel and nourishment. It is like, it's a way to celebrate. It's comforting, but is it your go-to comfort every day? Because that's not going to be very healthy. Are we eating our feelings every single day as a coping mechanism? So it's kind of one of those things just to see individually, like where they are with their relationship with food, but also it could be even like the ghosts of diets past that pop in your head that like a white potato is not as healthy as a sweet potato, or, and nutrition science is always changing, but I think that really messes with our relationship with food because we have all these rules. And that's where that all or nothing comes in, where it's like, well, I've messed up. I had Mexican, so I might as well have cake, like start over tomorrow and all of that kind of stuff. And so that's just not a healthy relationship with food, to be all or nothing, or, having that guilt and shame from certain foods that aren't as healthy for us and that kind of stuff, because there's room for everything. Mm-hmm. But I feel like what really helped me like get out of that cycle of the emotional eating more often and that kind of thing was to really learn how to fuel my body and keep my blood sugar balanced. I'm hypoglycemic. I have some blood sugar issues from my eating disorder because I didn't eat enough food and I ran a long way. And then I would have these cheat days where I would eat like half a cake in my car or something crazy like that. So I would do a lot of sugar at once and I wouldn't make myself sick. I would just digest it and I gained a lot of weight. So I have messed up my body is sensitive to eating desserts and that kind of thing. So I remember way back then when the doctor told me I'm hypoglycemic, he pretty much said, you really can't have dessert unless you have like a whole piece of chicken first or a whole steak. Like you've got to have protein first. And that was the first time I heard that. I never heard of that order kind of thing. So that's where that started to learn with really balancing your blood sugar makes it a lot easier. If you're nourishing your body at breakfast, you're not going to overeat every afternoon. Like that hangry and that blood sugar crash where you're tired and you feel like you need coffee or sugar or pretzels to wake up every afternoon, that's a blood sugar crash. And you don't have to feel like that. Like it makes it so much easier when you're nourishing your body and getting enough protein in and, that kind of stuff to have a healthier relationship with food because you're not starving. I think that was part of mine as I was hangry all the time. And that's a lot of other people always, that 3 to 5 window in the afternoon. The kids are home.
Yeah.
Or whatever that, and you're physically hungry, but also you're kind of overtired and stressed a little. And everybody's in the kitchen. It just turns into this thing where, it's easy to oopsie. I just don't know what happened with the chips and salsa,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Okay. Well, now I do believe, and I'm like you, I'm hypoglycemic, and like there'll be times if I get to church without having a little something in my stomach, if I stand up too quickly, I'll feel like I'm going to faint. I mean,
Yes.
that you got to stay fueled, but what does that mean as far as your philosophy toward intermittent fasting? Do you agree with that, disagree? Because that sort of gets into the blood sugar.
Yeah. And it depends on your season of life. I don't recommend more than like 12, 13-hour fast for people that are younger and they're still going to have babies and they want to keep their hormones just top notch. Let's have really healthy periods and all of that kind of stuff. Let's nourish our bodies. And 12 to 14 hours is plenty to have like a gut break and get that deep sleep and reap those benefits. But if you're 35, 40, and then definitely inching towards, menopause, postmenopausal, it is a great wellness tool. There's a lot of benefits to lessen inflammation, just really tap into like teaching your body to be that metabolically flexible, which means you can use carbs as a fuel source and glucose. You can also switch over and use your stored fat as a fuel source, which what it actually uses first is that visceral fat between your organs. So it's a great, and as postmenopausal, we're all getting the tummy and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a great tool for that season of life, but you shouldn't get real dizzy if you're doing like some maybe electrolytes or something like that. Like a lot of the time it's that you're dehydrated. It also could be that, your blood sugar wasn't super balanced the night before or the day before you kind of had like a carb heavy dinner or something like that. And so you're just your body doesn't as easily switch back over into that fat burning mode. Like it's not real metabolically flexible. Like if you just decide I'm going to fast a long time one day, like you're not going to feel very good because your body's used to that steady source of carbs for energy. And then you're giving it nothing. And so you're going to get that not feel very good kind of thing. So yeah, I usually recommend some electrolytes, which are just minerals. It's like potassium, sodium, and they have drops that aren't flavored that don't break your fast and that kind of stuff.
What kind of drops do you recommend?
I like the Highlight brand. I get it on Amazon. You can also just do pink Himalayan salt or some Celtic sea salt, just a little bit of that, and like 1 glass of water in the morning. And that could help a lot. It's just that you're not really absorbing your water well. Like you need some minerals, some trace minerals just to absorb that. And that should make you feel better. For sure.
Okay. And I'm going to, for those watching and listening, anything Meredith mentions, we will link to it in the show notes. So you don't have to stop driving or, take notes. It'll all be there. So we'll link to the electrolytes because I definitely need some of those. And Meredith, I ordered your protein. It's still not here.
It takes forever. That athletics. It tastes so good, but it takes a few weeks.
I know it's worth the wait, but I'll see you making something and I'll be like, okay, when's it coming? Because I've got like 10 things I want to make. All of
I love it. Yeah, I love some protein powder. I just don't love protein's really important, and I don't always love meat at every meal. I get sick of meat, like I like meat and I eat eggs and all that kind of stuff, but I have a sweet tooth, so I love a smoothie or protein oats or some kind of fun dessert or something with protein powder usually every day.
Okay. Well, you are very, very heavy on the protein on your Instagram and that's what I love. And I know that's probably the most important thing, isn't it? The protein, that we get a lot of protein. Is that really one of the most?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like eating can be individual. Like if you want to be vegan, like there's a way to do that and be healthy. You know what I mean? I'm not like anti anything. You can do keto healthy if that's your thing, as long as you're eating a bunch of veggies and stuff with it, not just cheese all day. But protein just really, it nourishes your muscles and your brain more than the other nutrients. So, once you start inching towards, once again, that perimenopause or 35, we just naturally start losing muscle. And so that's where the metabolism does slow a bit, just because we store our carbs for fuel in our muscles. So the more muscle you have, the more place you have to store it before you start storing in your fat cells. We don't want to be storing in our fat cells just on a regular day, because we're probably not always burning that off. So anyway, so protein just really shuts off those hunger hormones and just makes it easier to not have that overeating in the afternoon kind of thing. That really getting enough protein, especially at breakfast. Breakfast does, even if you're fasting and have breakfast at 10 or 11 or whatever, that first meal you have sets the tone for hunger and cravings all day long. So I'm like, you really make protein a priority on your plate. the rest kind of falls into place. Like that's the star of the show for me. And that's what makes me feel my best, I mean, eating can be individual. I don't want to push anybody to eat too much protein.
Sure. Well, so for those who, now I love meat, I eat tons of meat, fish, but for those listening who may not, I know and you were asked this question I did a week off. I did the Ask Meredith questions.
Yeah, I know. We got the date right though, finally. Yeah, I love it.
I'm super professional, aren't I? But anyway,
I love it. It makes it fun.
One of the questions was, and this has always been my question, it said, ask her what is a protein powder that really tastes good. I mean, that is something everyone wants to know. And I'm assuming it's Bad Athletics for you. But is that what you would recommend people?
And honestly, I mean, a grass-fed whey, that's the healthiest, but like a whey is going to taste the best. So if you can do dairy, whey proteins taste way better than the plant-based. The pea protein, and some people just have to do a plant-based and it's fine. They have to be dairy-free or they're vegan or something, but they just don't taste as good. It's a pea protein and rice protein. It just kind of has a funky taste to it.
Yeah.
And then a lot of those like bodybuilder kind of proteins like at GNC or Walmart, like those have sucralose in it. Those are a whey, but they're not a grass-fed or organic whey. And they have sucralose in them. And so that'll give you that kind of that sweetener aftertaste. But also sucralose can kill, your good gut bacteria. So I don't recommend that to anybody because, that ingredient can affect hormones and thyroid metabolism and all sorts of things. So that's kind of the ingredient I like to stay away from when I can.
Now that sucralose, is that the same as Splenda? What is sucralose?
It is Splenda. Yeah.
It's Splenda, it is
like the yellow packet. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
sucralose is Splenda.
It's not stevia. Is stevia
no,
okay?
Yeah, stevia is great. Monk fruit's great. Erythritol's great. But that Splenda is sucralose. And it's funny. It's such a yuck ingredient. Like other countries have banned it. Whole Foods and Sprouts don't even sell it in their store. But yet it's like everywhere at a lot of the other stores. So it's frustrating, but it's like, but wellness well session, I totally will drink a Milo's tea with Splenda sometimes. You know what I mean? Like nothing's off limits. You just need to not make that part of your everyday routine if you're really trying to be the healthiest you, because gut health is very important.
Okay. Well, so as far as then someone looking for a good protein powder, and I'll link to the one that you love and put a lot of recipes for, Bad Athletics.
Yeah, Bad Athletics.
Is there one that you would recommend for those listening that you think tastes the best that they can buy locally or at a Whole Foods? One for people who are allergic to whey and one for people who aren't, in addition to Bad Athletics. So
the Bad Athletics is a whey. They actually just launched a vegan one. So that's great. So they have both.
Okay.
But then also like Whole Foods has a accent. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
Ascent.
I love that one. So they have, and they just came out with a vegan too, but that one tastes really good and it's a great ingredient. Yeah. So that's similar to the taste of Bad Athletics, I think.
Okay.
To me, that one's super similar. So I do like that one too. But, and of course, if you hate the plant-based, there's other options. I mean, there's even egg proteins. I just was looking at Whole Foods and they don't have any of those now, but there is some on Amazon. There's some flavored egg proteins that it's just powdered egg whites. Like that's a complete protein that builds muscle. It's great. It doesn't taste funny or anything. The main thing with that though, you can't use it in like my baked recipes because it messes with that egg ratio. Like it'll be like, it's yuck. You can't. You could do like a no bake something, but yeah, you can't bake with it because it's like adding all these eggs to your recipe.
Okay. Well, now, of all of your recipes, they all look so good. What is your most popular, most delicious, that is a great protein recipe? And then maybe your most popular. You're coming out with a cookbook. I guess it's okay for me to say.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I can't wait. And I was going to try to wait for the podcast until you had your cookbook where we could, push that, but we'll circle back on that. When do you have any idea on the release date?
It should be. I'm thinking like one more month, maybe. It's taking forever, but I have the first copy on the way to my house, but it's still been a few weeks. You know what I mean? Like it's on the way. And if that one's good, then we're a go and all of that kind of stuff. But it's been tricky this is my first time to do this. So I'm like trying to figure out if I'm going to ship them or am I selling it on Amazon? I all the business part behind it. I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. But it's ready to go and it should be in the next month. So I'm really excited. I love to have recipes in paper form. For sure.
Yes.
It's just easier. Okay. What was the question before? It was about protein.
Okay,
my recipes.
What some of your best, and and I'm going to encourage everyone to buy the cookbook. I believe in paper cookbooks. I love cookbooks. Plus, if someone shares recipes, I'm like, well, you shared one or two. Let me buy your whole I mean, I think everybody's going to want to support, because
I love it.
Family Savvy hadn't even done a cookbook. It is a labor. I mean, it is so labor intensive.
It really is. Yeah. And I'm not good at that part. It was the computer part was really hard. Like I'm not tech savvy. So I love to make up recipes, but the other part is not my personality.
Yeah.
But in my cookbook is called Well Made, because I feel like the Lord made our bodies really well. And sometimes we don't know how to nourish it properly. And so that's where I came up with that name.
Well Made.
Okay. But my most, like, if you like chocolate and peanut butter, the Reese's Oats, I have Reese's Protein Oats, I have Reese's Baked Oats, and it's that just right formula to still balance your blood sugar, because it's half a serving of oats, and I beef it up with a lot of fiber and non-starchy kind of things, and then of course add the protein. But I feel like it's trendy right now to add a bunch of protein powder to any recipe, but that doesn't necessarily make a balance. Like there's really, I have reasons behind my the balance that I do to really shut off hunger, and I've tested all my recipes with my glucose monitor for that balance and all that. But I'd say the Reese's Protein Oats, the baked oats, or the regular oats, and then my 3-ingredient fudge. That was a real popular one. I just did that one at Christmas, and I feel like a lot of people like that.
Ooh, okay. Do you need the Bad Athletics for all 3 of these?
Not necessarily. You just need a flavored protein powder. So anything would work. I love Bad Athletics because it tastes good and it sits well in my stomach and it has good ingredients. But any protein powder that's the flavor I ask for. Usually chocolate or vanilla works in most recipes.
Okay. Well, mine's on the way. And it's interesting because I do Iron Tribe. I started a few weeks ago, and they sell the Ascent. I just, I didn't know that it was great. So
yeah, it's a good one. Yeah, that one's great ingredients. Yeah, for sure. I do like that.
So Meredith, tell us then what a typical just good. First of all, I want to circle back because you mentioned glucose monitor. Do you recommend that we all have a glucose monitor?
Not necessarily. If you want to learn more, like I think it can be a great tool to use instead of say like tracking macros or something like that. It's cool to learn information about you individually and how foods affect you. But also, it's nice because it's just a 2-week thing, because it is annoying. You have to scan it and put what you ate in, and all that. Like I would never, I'm so thankful I don't have diabetes and have to do that all the time. Like it's a lot. So it can be information overload in our world now with everything, like even smartwatches telling you how much you sleep. Like it can be the steps you take, and it can be like too much information. So, but there is power in knowledge. So, usually it lasts on your arm about 2 weeks. So it could be something cool to try just one time. I did the company NutriSense, and I have a coupon code for them, but that's the one I use. But honestly, if you just want to if you're interested in your blood sugar, like you can go to any CVS or drugstore and get the finger prick thing, like for diabetics. Like you don't have to you could just do that here and there. Like 30 minutes after you eat, do it again an hour after you eat, and just see what your number is. And I share a lot of that stuff on there of like the numbers. I mean, on my Instagram of like where you kind of want to be, that what you want your fasting glucose to be, or if you're on your way to diabetes or that kind of thing. But it can be helpful to learn information. So I've done it like 4 times. I have another one on my counter. I'm trying to build myself up to want to do it again.
Yeah.
Because it is neat to learn. It really is neat to see that. And also like stressors make you have a blood sugar spike. So like I learned that I don't need to have caffeine in the afternoon. Like mine would go up like I had cake, and it's just the stress of the caffeine in my body because I just metabolize it quickly. So so that's not the case for everybody, but it did make me think, I'll just do decaf in the afternoon, no big deal,
Right. Okay. Well, now Meredith, as far as when you work with clients, because you were talking about protein and how important muscle is and burning visceral fat. Mm-hmm. How do you, if someone's say not on a exercise program or they're not doing something to build muscle, how do you help them get on that path to finding what works for them?
Yeah, because exercise wise, you got to do what you like. Like you're not gonna all of a sudden do something. I mean, that's just not gonna happen. Yeah. So I think walking's underrated. I mean, walking is not a stressor. Even walking 10 minutes after a meal lessens your blood sugar effect of the meal, like moving your body, parking further away, walking's great. From a muscle standpoint, as we are getting to menopause and really losing that muscle, you kind of have to use your muscle to exhaustion. So that could be, women were not very strong. So, I mean, you could do some push-ups on your knees. You can't do very many till it's, you can only do a certain amount. And you're like, I can't do another one. Well, that builds muscle. So it could be something like that, even like sitting down in a chair 20 times or something, you know, that could be some squats. If you're not used to working out, like just to use your muscles will make them grow. But of course, if you're doing heavier weights, it's a lot quicker to use it to exhaustion, you know, but yoga, Pilates, anything you enjoy can build muscle. And there's a lot of great stuff on YouTube that could be like, you know, a 15-minute full body, you know, even without weights. There's so many, it's at our fingertips now, you know, with technology. So if you could just make yourself do it, that makes a huge difference. And then that's really the exercise and using your muscle to exhaustion plus the protein, you know, several times a day, like 2 to 3 times a day to really get your protein in. That's the winning combo that makes you naturally not lose it and keep what you have and not have osteoporosis and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. So the winning combination, repeat that one more time. It's
to use your muscle to exhaustion and get enough protein in several times a day. So you can't, you know, that's where the intermittent fasting where you eat 1 meal a day, that OMAD or whatever, I'm like, that's fine if that works for you, but you're losing muscle. Like you can't get enough protein in at 1 meal. Like you need, you know, 2 to 3 meals at least. Maybe 4, you know, to get that protein.
How much protein do you recommend for most women? I know it varies.
Yeah. I mean, you can have your body weight in grams of protein. Like that's just a blanket. Everybody can. But I tell my clients usually it's about 25, 30, even 40 per meal. And that if you did like 30 per meal, that would give you about like 90. If you had 3 meals, that would give you 90. And that's a great minimal. Like 90 per day is a great minimal goal for most women. But like a piece of chicken or or like a burger. I mean, if you like dinner, that all has about 25 or 30. So, I mean, you know, usually dinner, we're getting enough. It's really that lunch and breakfast for most women where we're slacking because they might do like 2 boiled eggs. Well, that's 12 grams of protein. That's not enough. And that's gonna make you want to overeat later. You know what I mean? But nobody wants, you don't have to eat 10 eggs either, but there's different ways to do it.
Yeah. Now, Meredith, for those, and I'm really big on, I love to drink my calories, especially in the morning. I don't have a huge appetite in the morning. Do you have a great smoothie that is loaded with protein that tastes good? I know you do.
I mean, you know, I love.
I know
I think it's just so easy for it's 1 meal a day. All mine are complete meals. So it's like 1 meal a day. You don't have to think about like now you should have to figure out what to eat for lunch and dinner, you know, like let's simplify. And the main thing you taste is protein powder. So if you find a protein powder you like, they're going to be delicious. And I have so many recipes on my Instagram, you know, there's more fruity ones. There's more, you know, there's like banana bread ones. And then also I posted a Valentine's one that has a beet in it, like a canned beet, you know, I mean,
I
have so many different smoothies, but they're all that just right balance. So the starches aren't too high. So you're really keeping your blood sugar balanced, but you can still have some carbs and healthy fruits and minerals and that kind of stuff. But it's that just right balance. There's always a healthy fat in there, but not too much. You know, they're very balanced. They always have that at least 30 grams of protein.
So any smoothie on Peachie Spoon can be a meal replacement.
Yes, they are all meal replacements. Yeah. And it's a great breakfast or a lunch. I think of my smoothies as like it's almost like a wellness tool you can use because you could put it in a Yeti with a lid and it's good at room temperature for 6 hours. So if you're going on a road trip or you're at a ballpark all day, like that's one way to get some nutrition in. You know, you can sneak veggies in. You can't even taste spinach and cauliflower and squash and zucchini. You can't taste those at all. So, I mean, it's just an easy way to get fiber and all this stuff in case Chick-fil-A fries happen for dinner, you know, like it's a great wellness tool just to get some nutrition in.
Well, what's your favorite? I'm going to list your favorite on the show notes and then link.
Okay, good. That's hard. I am not one of those people that can eat the same thing every day. So that's why I have so many recipes because I love a flavor change.
Yeah.
But I do love peanut butter and chocolate. So that would be a top of my list. I'd say my Reese's smoothie and my Reese's oats are like, I do those a lot.
Okay. I'm going to be making that. We'll share that one with everyone. Okay. I'm sure. Okay. I want to ask because this was another question that someone asked. Should I take a collagen supplement daily? Which one?
Okay. So collagen, it's not magic, but I think it can help, you know, like skin, gut, hair, all that kind of thing. It's not a complete protein that builds muscle. So that's why I don't recommend like only collagen in your smoothie. Like it's a fine add-on to bump up to 30 grams of protein with a whey or something, but I don't love it as just like your only source of protein. So there's some newer ones out that are like liquid. And, you know, a lot of people are saying that those are higher quality. But the thing that's tricky about those are all those MLMs. And so those people that are saying that are selling them. So it's hard to know I do know Vital Proteins got bought out and it is not as high quality. So I did kind of try, I quit buying it. I actually just bought one at Costco. And my husband's like, I think maybe we should throw it out. Like it has, I think it's not the best. Like it, not the way it tastes, but just new studies. I think there's like some metal in it. It's like metal toxicity.
Shoot.
Like it's, and I like just bought a new one that's chocolate, but whatever.
Well, now what about the is it Ancient Nutrition that Dr. Axe, I believe, recommends?
Yeah, he's great. So that one's great. Great Lakes brand is great. They have that at Trader Joe's and also on Amazon, but that Great Lakes is a grass-fed, it's a grass-fed collagen. You want to make sure it's grass-fed, or if it's a marine or whatever, like the accent he has some different ones. And then one more is that Further Foods. I really like that one. And I like it so much. I have a coupon code. It's Peachy, but I do
Further
Further Food. Mm-hmm. But that's a great one. And they even have, I bought several just to try out, but they even have like a hazelnut one, and that's been really yummy. I just add a little scoop to my I do my protein oats or something. So that they have some flavors, but they also have gelatin, which is a type of collagen. So it does thicken, like if you like thicker smoothies and that kind of stuff, it can be a thickener, but it's really good and healing for your gut. And just I try to always do some different stuff. That's not something I do every day, but I think why not? You know, there's so many great foods out there. So I think why not, you know, add it in a couple times a week.
Okay. Well, and then I'm trying to ask reader questions. I had some of mine first, but I'm going to try to ask the reader questions because they took time to submit these. What are your favorite things to order at national places, chains like Chick-fil-A, Chipotle, Subway, your healthy order?
Okay. I don't love fast food salads. Like I'm like, I'll eat a salad at home when I'm trying to be healthier. It's Chick-fil-A. I want French fries. So I usually do the my meal balance is protein, fat, and fiber, and you keep the starches to one serving. So just to keep that starch to one serving, I feel like it lessens the blood sugar effect of the meal. And then also most people have enough room to store that one serving in your liver and your muscles. So you're not storing your fat cells. So that's another part of that.
Would that mean, Meredith, if you follow the protein, fat, fiber, one starch, that would mean if you were at Chick-fil-A, you could choose the fries or the ice cream, but not both.
Right. Or the bun or the fries.
Or the bun.
So I do. Yeah.
Okay. So what do? You get the baked nuggets.
I do the 12 count grilled nuggets and the fry. I do that meal. And that's just what I like. But if you love a bun, you could do a side salad. Like just make your side not starchy like fries. But I would rather have fries than the bun for me, you know, to keep in that structure. And then Chipotle, the main thing with keeping your starches to one serving is think what the starches are. There's chips, rice, beans, the corn salsa. So you could do like not as much of a couple, like a little bit of rice and a little bit of beans, just to try to keep it around a serving of one starch. But my go-to there, I usually do a salad. I don't care about beans or rice. I'd rather have some chips. Like I just don't care about that much. So I would do a salad with chicken and salsa, maybe some guacamole, but I would do some chips and try to keep the chips around a serving for my starch.
Okay. And that's interesting. You've reminded me that beans are a starch.
They are. And so if you're plant-based, that's a protein source for them. But really the protein number, if you're looking at nutrition facts of beans, the carbohydrate number is a lot higher. So it's a starch. It is a starch with some protein, but I don't think of that as being like a protein source. If you were trying to get 30 grams of protein from beans, it's like 200 carbs or something crazy. You know what I mean? Like you can't. The same with like something like peanut butter, like that's more of a fat. It's a fat with a little bit of protein. So it's good for you. It's just more of a fat source than a protein source. Protein sources are like protein powder, cottage cheese, yogurt, and meat and eggs. That's about it. So you kind of like need one of those at each meal.
Okay. Now, how do you meal prep? What are some meal prep tips?
I do a bag of potatoes every week. I love a potato. I feel satisfied when I eat a potato. Of course, I always pair it with a protein to listen. So I'm not having a blood sugar spike.
And you do white, don't you?
I do. I love potatoes.
I love white potatoes, and they're not wicked. They're not evil.
They're not. There's the same amount of carbs in a white potato as a sweet potato. Like from a fat storage standpoint and a blood sugar standpoint, it's the same. So just, there's more vitamin A in a sweet potato and there's way more potassium in a white potato. There's no right or wrong. Like just eat what you like. But I bake. I just ate one just now with a can of tuna, which doesn't sound exciting, but I had 5 minutes and it was real quick. I didn't have any leftover protein, but I love a potato. So I do meal prep that just to have as a healthy starch. Like I'm all about nutrient dense starches and, I have crackers sometimes, but potatoes and butternut squash and fruit is so much more nutritious starch wise than other carbs. So I try to do something like that. And then of course, when we grill or we do tacos, I'll do like 3 pounds of meat. So we have leftovers and I can just do that for lunch. I'm not a huge meal prepper, but I do have a stocked fridge. Like I think it's important to have food in the pantry, food in the freezer in case. And then of course, just make some extra protein. I feel like protein's the main one that's hard to throw together when you're, hungry for lunch. It's like, what do I do? If there's not any protein, that's the most important. And that's where you might just grab a bar or something and you're going to be really hungry later and play catch up for it. So yeah, so just, I try to kind of meal prep in a way, like if the oven's on, I'll just go ahead and throw in potatoes too, or if I'm home, I know I'm going to be home for an hour. I just bake more potatoes and throw them in the fridge for the rest of the week and that kind of thing.
And then okay. So now I want to ask you this. You mentioned a bar. That was another question. How do you tell if a protein bar is healthy?
Well, the main thing, check for sucralose, because we already talked about that. I'm not a fan. So a lot of them have sucralose. So check that out. Of course, if you're at Sprouts and Whole Foods, it's a safer zone because they don't have that. So the main thing with that, a lot of them aren't really protein bars. Like my guideline that I do is look at the carb number and look at the protein number, and they should be about the same. So a lot of bars are a fat bar, it has like 10 grams of protein and like, 20 grams of fat. Well, that's fine. It's just not really going to shut off your hunger. Well, it's a fine little snack, but it's not like really enough protein, that kind of thing, So that's kind of my guideline. I do love the Built bars. That's a lot of people really like those. They are sweet and chewy. So if you don't have a sweet tooth, you're not going to like it. It's not like a good breakfast bar. Like it feels like dessert. But I love that one just because it's lower in fat. So it could be a dessert at any meal. So it's really just protein, a little starch, and they're all low in fat. So that's kind of why I like those, because it could be an add-on to any meal, because a lot of bars are more of trying to be a meal replacement and they have that fat component, and we don't need to be overdoing our fats either. So yeah, so just kind of make sure that carb protein number is similar. The number's similar in size. And that's usually a pretty balanced bar, and it's great. So there's like No Cow is a brand.
What do you think about One Plant?
Those are about the plant. I feel like the plant might have a little less protein. I haven't bought that one, but the one that's a great brand. I mean, that one's fine. Yeah.
I'm addicted to the One Plant that is like a peanut Reese's, whatever.
But that's a healthy dessert though. I mean, if you like a sweet tooth fix, I mean, that's better than eating Reese's every day.
Shoot. Yeah. Okay. Now, what do you think about MCT oil?
It's really great for brain health. It is. You have to be careful though. If you have it on an empty stomach, like you put it in your coffee, it has a laxative effect. So, and it could just all of a sudden have a laxative effect and not some days. So just kind of be careful with that. But it's a great healthy fat. I have that as an option that when I send all this info to my clients, but that's on the fat options for a smoothie. You can like a tablespoon of that's a great fat in a smoothie for sure. Yeah.
What foods are or at least at your house, and one I know is sucralose, are just off limits because they're just not, there's no redeeming quality up to them. So sucralose is one. No Splenda at your house.
Yeah, there's really not really. Yeah, that's probably about it. But I do still drink a Diet Coke here and there when I want to, although I know it's junk too. I do, like, I have kids that are teenagers. They're 15, 13, 11. So I do try to, I don't want to give anybody an eating disorder or like have issues with food. So we really, like, I got Little Debbie's in there. I got Doritos in there. We don't have them all the time.
Right.
But I try to have, of course, we have a lot of healthy food too, and they eat what I cook for the most part. But I do try to keep that balance so they have a healthy relationship with food and they're not sneaking candy or anything like that. So I really don't have a lot of off-limit stuff. I don't buy a bunch of sodas all the time and that kind of thing. But we do have a fun pantry.
What about oils? Because I know that EVOO and avocado are the healthiest and the best, but I've heard, and people that I follow, Flav City, he said anything besides those two, that they're inflammatory. Do you agree with that?
I do like him, but I think sometimes we need a little bit more general structure and not such rigid to be, that wellness without obsession. I think sometimes I do love
but
him.
I'm like, you can't make a cake. You can't make a cake with olive oil. You can make an olive oil cake, but not every now and then you've got to have. And I know expeller pressed is a better quality, but do you just try to limit the canola and the sunflower and all of that? or how do you view
I
that?
really do. And like, I even, like sesame oil, I use that when I do Asian because it tastes, it gives it that Asian taste, you know, and so, but we don't do that every week. You know what I mean? So I think there, as long as I think there's power in knowledge, but we can't take it too far. So yes, the healthy oils are olive, avocado, coconut, and grass-fed butter. That's like healthy fats. Anything else is inflammatory just because of the way it's processed, it turns rancid, and that's kind of what it does in our body, and it causes inflammation. So, you know, and like grapeseed oil, 5 years ago, that was a healthy one. I used to have a dip with grapeseed oil, where that one's on the bad list now, and it's inflammatory. So that's where it's like nutrition science is always changing. Do the best you can to eat the higher quality foods at your home, because most restaurants have the inflammatory oils and there's nothing you can do about that, you know? So just do the best while you're at home. No big deal if you want to do an old school, you know, cake box with vegetable oil. It's not the end of the world. But honestly, when I do brownie mixes, even for my kids, I use a light olive oil, and you can't tell. So
yeah.
So that one, I don't think I've tried it with cake. Maybe I have, but it's been a couple of years. I just don't do
the extra version has that fruity, that heavy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
That can mess up a cake, but we're talking about cake. But okay, now someone asked where's your favorite place to shop for groceries for your food items?
That's hard. I'm one of those that goes to all of them.
Me too.
Probably. And I'm like, if I could only go to one. What's hard is I feel like I have to go to Publix because I have kids and they do eat Cheez-Its and stuff like that. So I feel like I can't just go to Sprouts or Whole Foods. Like I don't buy organic crackers for them. I just don't. I haven't taken it that far, and I don't think I will, you know, like I think there's, you know, power knowledge. I say that a lot, but anyway, but I even like Walmart Market. Like they have my Mary's crackers I like I feel like Walmart's coming up with a lot of, even their frozen stuff. Like they have some great high quality, like that Real Good brand frozen meals. And
okay. So Feel Good is a,
yeah, it's called Real Good.
Oh, Real Good. Yes. I love Real Good. Yes. I thought you said Feel Good. I thought there was a new, yes.
They're great ingredients, but they're at Target and Walmart and Publix. But I'd say I go to Publix the most. But I like Whole Foods. I love their produce, and it's just nice to go to those places sometimes for like the Lily's chocolates I like, and you know that they just have a lot of great stuff there. But I do go everywhere. I go to Costco. I go to Sam's sometimes. Like I go to all the places.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap up, because I know you've given me almost an hour here, but as we wrap up, if someone watching or listening, they are just thinking, boy, I've got so far to go, but I just really want to make some changes. What would you tell them? What's a great place to start? And how would you encourage them that, hey, you can do it? It's just baby steps. But what would you say to them?
Yeah, I would just say, how can you add in some healthy habits to what you're already doing? Like, maybe have a glass of water before your coffee because you wake up dehydrated. That'd be very good and honoring for your body. So have a glass of water sitting there by the coffee pot. So when you're half asleep, you can just start drinking your water while the coffee's brewing. Like just how can we add some healthy habits that isn't like this crazy diet that's not sustainable and you're not going to do, you know? Another thing is like park further away, like just move your body more. Like you don't have to go to the gym and do this perfect hour. Just go for a walk. Even 10 minutes, like I said, even 10 minutes after a meal can make you way more healthy because your blood sugar's lower, you know, and it's less inflammatory. You're not storing as much fat and all of that stuff. So just little habits, and just don't be all or nothing. Because I think a lot of people just have that lie in their head that it's too much. I can't eat healthy, so I'll just order pizza. And it's like, well, it's not that hard to do a healthy, you know, microwave dinner, or, you know, put a baked potato in the oven with a rotisserie chicken, and that would be so much better for you. And it's not really harder, you know? So I think just giving yourself some grace and not trying to have that perfection. But another thing, sleep is so important. So I'd say, you know, sleeping 7 hours minimal, sleep 7 hours minimal, go for a walk, and, you know, try to make protein a priority on your plate. And I think just ease into it that way, and that could really help.
Can we pre-order your cookbook?
I don't have that. I'm not that fancy. I didn't figure out how to do that.
Oh,
so, but when it's available, I'll just
I'll put it on my Instagram. And
thank you. Yeah.
And last thing on your cookbook, what categories is it? Entrees, salad? Like, how do you divide your cookbook?
So it's over 100 recipes, but it's smoothies and then other types of breakfast, like breakfast casserole and eggs and stuff like that. And then lunches, which is chicken salads and that kind of stuff, like a meal preppy lunch kind of thing. And then I have dinners. And then there's also a chapter that's called quick balance meals. It's not really like a recipe. It's kind of like this many eggs, this many whites, this,
Oh,
with a piece of fruit or a toast or a baked potato with this kind of protein, this sauce, that tastes good. Like just, so it's like not really a recipe, but it's like MacGyvering, putting together what you got, and it's a balanced meal.
yeah, and that's great for packing your husband's lunch or your kids' lunch, knowing
Right.
the combination of, what to get. Hey, let me do a protein or,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, just to get that balance down. And then of course my desserts. There's a dessert, like my cookies and my no bakes and muffins and all of that kind of stuff. Because I love to bake and I have a sweet tooth.
Oh my goodness. Well, I cannot wait for your cookbook.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
And everyone watching and listening, go to the show notes and you'll see where to find Meredith, where to find her Instagram, and all the things that she's mentioned. Meredith, you are just a dear. Thank you. Thank you so much. I just am so grateful that you joined us, and you're wonderful.
Well, thanks. It was so fun chatting, and thanks for having me, Jamie. It was great.
Okay. And you have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.